President Biden said, he held a press conference and he said that the gun violence in America is an epidemic. He said it's an international embarrassment. So he came up with 6 executive orders because he said he tired of waiting on Congress to act and to do something. And he is utilizing his power to make moves. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what he wants to do, and I'm going to tell you what the 6 executive orders are. I'm actually reading the legislation, and you can go to the White House website to find out what's going on. What he wants to do is he wants to close loopholes, right? And he wants to include closing the boyfriend and stalking loophole that allows people found by the courts to be abusers to possess firearms. They want to be able to close this loophole where if you're the boyfriend that's committing this domestic violence, that you can't have firearms, which sounds good. Also, he wants to ban assault weapons. He always wants to ban assault weapons and high capacity magazines. He wants to repeal gun manufacturers' immunity from liability, and he wants to invest in evidence-based community violence interventions. He also wants Congress to pass an appropriate national red flag law, as well as legislation incentivizing states to pass red flag laws. So the Department of Justice has 30 days to issue a proposed rule to help stop the proliferation of ghost guns. Do you know what ghost guns are? Let's talk about it. Not to insult your intelligence, in case you don't know. A ghost gun, sometimes when you go to these gun shows, you can buy a lower, which is the lower receiver of a rifle, right? If you buy just the lower, sometimes that lower doesn't have a serial number on it. So you can buy that lower, and then at another gun show, you can buy an upper receiver, and you can put those two together, and you can actually build your own firearm. There's a lot of people that do it, and it's not really illegal, right? The problem is that you need to register that gun once it's completed to the ATF. Some people, aka criminals, don't do that. They somehow miss that step to get the serial number on their lower receiver. So in about 30 minutes, it says you can complete this ghost gun. You can get a kit in the mail, and you can get it, and you can build it in about 30 minutes. Where they're saying, President Biden is saying that he wants the firearms to be able to be registered. And he wants a rule from the Department of Justice as to what the ramifications will be if said gun isn't registered. I just don't know who doesn't know that they're not building a gun that should have a serial number on it. Every time I go purchase a firearm, every single one of them have serial numbers on them, and you can trace it back to me. So the person that didn't do the background check, that didn't register their firearm, didn't do the things that you're supposed to do, now you're asking them to do something else to go a step further and register a gun that they know isn't registered already. I just don't know how this makes sense. But okay, they have 30 days to come up with that, okay? Within 60 days, he wants them to make a rule and make it very clear about a device that's marketed as a stabilizing brace, but it turns the rifle into a short barrel rifle. So you put on the lower receiver, you can put a brace on the stock, right? And the brace is something you're supposed to stick your arm through so that you can stabilize the firearm. Well, the brace can also be used as a stock. Like it can be put in your shoulder and sit in your shoulder as a stock. And so that turns the pistol into a short barrel rifle, which is illegal. Okay? So the gentleman in Colorado used one of these braces as a stabilizing mechanism to kill these 10 people. So he's saying that we need to come up with rules that makes it further illegal for this stabilizing mechanism to turn this this pistol into a short barrel rifle. Okay, so they have 60 days to come up with that type of rule. They have 60 days to come up with a model red flag legislation for states. Red flag laws, not to insult your intelligence, it allows family members or law enforcement to petition the court and say that this person is unstable and that their firearm should be removed out of their possession. okay? And it bars people in a crisis from accessing their firearms if they present a danger to themselves or others. The president wants a national red flag law. Currently, there's some states that have them, some states don't. And he wants the Justice Department to come up with a model that will make it clear for states to adopt these red flag laws. This is what he wants. The slippery slope with red flag laws is it's that jealous ex-girlfriend, it's that over possessive boyfriend. It is those people that lie, literally lie. It's not even like trying to be funny. They're not exaggerating. They want to get back at you for some reason, whatever the reason is. It's that family member that's sick and tired of you, that's jealous, envious, whatever the case may be, that's going to contact the state and tell them that you're unstable, telling lies, and then people are going to come into your house and confiscate your firearms. That's one of the things that could actually happen. And so red flag laws are also a slippery slope when it comes to your 2A rights, because who determines your mental stability? If you're not a doctor, how do you petition and go to the courts and ask them to take your firearms away from you that you legally possess, that you purchased with a background check and got the permits and everything that you needed to do with them? They now want to be able to have the authority to sick the police on you, or get the courts involved, and it's a lengthy process to get your firearms back. I need you guys to understand this. I have a friend that's going through this right now. Her and her boyfriend got into a situation, so they charged them both, and now she had to fight through the courts because they took her firearms. The whole thing is going to get dismissed, but she still doesn't have her firearms. And because of COVID, the courts were closed down. They were shut down for a while. And so therefore, it's just been this lengthy process. Meanwhile, she doesn't have a means of protecting herself. So do you understand how this slippery slope can be detrimental to your life if you get into a situation and you don't have your firearms on you because of something that you had absolutely no control over? So that's something to think about. The administration is also investing in evidence-based community violence interventions. And what this means is that they want to go into urban communities, aka black people. You know what that means. They want to go in there because they have an historic spike in homicides, they said. Every study has shown that violence is a direct reflection of your environment, whether it's poverty, lack of education, whether it's lack of opportunity, food deserts. All of that has been proven, but we're not even talking about that. So what he wants to propose is the first initiative is the American Jobs Plan, and he wants to do $5 billion investment over 8 years to support community violence intervention programs. And what that does is connect individuals to job training and to job placements. So he wants to do that over the next 8 years. He also wants the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to organize a webinar on how they can use Medicaid to reimburse certain community violent intervention programs. It's almost like a hospital-based violence intervention program. So that's something. And then he wants 5 federal agencies to make changes to 26 different programs in support of community violence intervention programs as quickly as possible. So they have a list of all of those programs, the 26, so you can go on the White House website and look those up. Also, the Justice Department will issue an annual report on firearms trafficking. So what this means is that the ATF did a data survey in 2000 about how firearms are being trafficked into the basic black market. Like, how are they getting there? Because I don't know no Pookie Ray with a manufacturing company. I'm getting them from somewhere. Where is the question? And so we have seen throughout history how the government has had a direct hand in these type of activities. So now they want to do a report on how firearms are being trafficked, and the report is going to be sent to state, local, and federal policy makers. Okay, and they're going to rely on that data to change and implement different laws. Okay, so this is what's going to happen, and this is going to be an annual updated report. The last thing that he wants to do is nominate this guy named David Chipman to serve as the director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, aka the ATF. Okay, the ATF has not had a permanent or confirmed director since 2015. Everybody is interim. David done been at the ATF 25 years as a special agent. Let's talk about David. David is also the head of a gun advocacy group, right? It's called Gifford. If you don't know about Gifford, Representative Gabrielle Gifford out of Arizona a few years ago in 2011 was shot in her face. I don't know if you remember this. She survived. And so she was gravely wounded in this. So she created an advocacy group and or organization, and David Chipman is the head or the senior policy advisor at that organization. It just is a huge conflict of interest, but okay. Okay, when you are in charge of all the rules, then you can make them up as you go. And he likes to talk about is the ghost guns. And he says that he can make a way where we don't have our 2A rights infringed upon us, but you're still allowed to hunt and you're still allowed to carry your guns, but you know, you're not allowed to have them in the hands of criminals. So we'll see how it goes. But those are the 6 things that President Biden introduced in his executive orders this week. And I definitely wanted to break them down for you. You can absolutely Google this yourself, and I encourage you to, and or go to the White House website so you can look at this. But this is what's happening in these gun streets, okay?